Hey, everybody. Welcome to Prostate Cancer, The Road to Recovery, episode 31. I'm Jason. I'm 54 years old. I have prostate cancer that metastasized to my spine. And on this channel, we talk about it. Today, I've got a guest. Let me introduce Peter O'Connor.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
Good, thanks. Yep, doing well.
So we met back in Atlanta at a zero cancer training session.
Yeah.
Yeah, for mentors and what's the people who run support groups?
Group leaders, yep.
Group leaders, yep.
Yeah.
And you are a mentor.
I've actually taken the plunge. I do both now.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I have a small group, but
Okay.
we're trying to grow just a little bit, and it's in
All right.
person.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about all that and more here in a second. Let's get the intro.
Welcome to Prostate Cancer, The Road to Recovery with Jason Stone, a Stage 4 fighter. This podcast brings you support and insights from survivors, fighters, and medical experts. Join us for an educational and inspiring journey.
All right. So welcome to the show. You are in New York, correct?
That's right. I'm out on Long Island.
Long Island, New Yorker. So, bagels or pizza?
I just had a slice of pizza about half an hour ago.
Right on. Oh, very cool. Very cool. So on this channel, we like to talk about different people's treatments, and you've had brachytherapy. Am I saying that right? Brachytherapy?
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
What if your experience with that was a movie genre? Would it be a horror, an action, or a comedy?
It certainly wasn't a horror.
Okay, that's good. That's good to hear.
May have had a couple of moments of comedy in there, but it was definitely not a terrible experience.
So what is it?
What it is there's a couple of different versions. What I had is they actually insert these little, they look like very skinny pieces of rice. And they inserted about 50 or 60 of them, radioactive pellets, into the prostate. Yeah, it's a fun experience, but it's not bad. So they insert it. In my case, they use something, you probably know this in your background, palladium.
Palladium. Yeah, palladium. Yep.
So they inserted that in me. It is radioactive for basically a month, maybe a little more. It's a low dose of radiation.
Yeah.
With the warning of the first week or so, don't be around small children or pregnant women. So they inserted that, and it slowly does its job. The advantage was I had radiation now 9 years ago, external beam. I had 45 fractions, which really ruled out any more radiation.
Yep.
The idea of a salvage prostatectomy was not good. They said they don't want to do it. Once you've had radiation, it's hard to remove the prostate.
Yeah.
So that was basically my option. So they inserted it. Like I said, it takes about a month that is still radioactive. It's kind of interesting. When you're in the recovery room, somebody comes in with a radiation detector, holds it up to you, and you're clicking away like crazy.
We could use you for a show and tell at work when we're in training sessions. See, this is how you read this type of meter. Palladium has a Palladium 103 has a half-life of 17 days. So that's why they're saying about a month before the radioactive is gone. So it's half of the energy is depleted after 17 days, and it emits soft X-rays. So they're low energy. That's not anything close to the high energy that you'd get from external beam radiation. And so it's doing that low energy radiation right on the prostate, right on the tumors.
Right, and it's precisely located right by or in the tumors. So And I should mention too, about a month before that, I started on ADT.
Oh,
And the theory on that was, as it was explained to me as well, this weakens the cancer cells. This way, when you step into the ring, you have a weakened opponent.
yep.
So, hoping that works. I'm on ADT for a while longer. We'll see what happens.
Okay. How long are they projecting before you're off?
It'll be at least a 2-year run.
Okay.
And then we're going to stop. We're going to do testing. We're going to see if everything stays quiet.
Okay. What's your PSA looking like right now?
Right now, it's virtually unmeasurable.
Okay.
Unfortunately, so is my testosterone, but, you know.
There's so many of us that experience that. So I'm on hormone therapy with a 3-month Lupron shot and then a daily 1,000 milligrams of Zytiga, which is abiraterone. What are your hormone therapy drugs?
Well, I was on Camsevi, which is a type of Lupron.
Okay.
And actually, today was my first day on Orgovi,
All right.
which is an antagonist,
Yep.
where the other was an agonist. And
Okay.
and this one, like I said, this will be at least 6 months on this.
So have they talked about side effect differences? Like,
With the Camsevi, I checked off all the minor boxes. If you want to say hot flashes, night sweats, fatigue, mood swings, obviously sexual end of it.
yep.
I checked them all off. Luckily, the major side effects could be diabetes and heart, cardiovascular disease.
Yeah.
Seem to have dodged those bullets. With this drug, it seems like, from what they say, similar. I've heard people say less of the night sweats. On the other hand, maybe more of the joint pain, muscular pain,
Okay.
and hate to say it, a little more brain fog.
Ooh, more brain fog? Man,
Which,
I'm looking for something that has less brain fog. That I am tired of this brain fog crap.
Well, the thing is, in a way, the treatment so far has led me to a good place, because to fight the fatigue and the mood swings, I started exercising, and I joined the resistance band training. Anyone in New York on Long Island, there's a group called Strength for Life. They offer free resistance band training to anybody with cancer.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And it was from there that I segued into starting the small group of people. But I like to focus on nutrition, eating right, exercise, and that all combats the side effects of ADT.
Yeah, yep, very true. And we talk about diet on here quite often. In fact, over 30 episodes, previous episodes, we've run a different range of, hey, we're trying to practice plant-based, we're trying to practice, and now we're trying higher protein. And so what is your idea of a diet that works for you?
Well, actually interesting, because once it started, I had a nutritionist who recommended, the Mediterranean diet, which is great.
Yep.
I of course went overboard from there, and I went to full out vegetarian.
Okay.
Which lasted about 3 months or so. But I found myself buying some of the plant-based meat substitutes, reading the labels on that, which my nutritionist got me to do. Some of them are fine, but some are highly processed.
Yeah, which is bad for our situation.
Yeah. So I decided, all right, I'm going to reintroduce fish into my diet.
Okay.
And actually, I just saw a new term, flexitarian, which means basically vegetarian, but every once in a while you put in fish and maybe some grilled chicken.
Okay.
So that might be where I am right now.
I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot.
But I do miss my hamburgers and cheeseburgers.
Yep. I understand that completely.
Yeah.
The one of the challenges with going full vegetarian when I tried plant-based everything was my immediate and complete loss of muscle mass, because combined with the ADT.
Yeah.
Did you experience some of that?
Absolutely. That's another reason I got into the resistance band. Yeah, I mean, I was never, you could tell by looking at me, I was never a muscle man. but I worked at it. I went to the gym, and I was at least solid.
Okay, that's
And
good.
then a while ago, I felt like it was silly putty.
Yep.
And so that was why I talked to the Strength for Life, the coach there. And she said the good news is you do still have muscle memory, so it won't be as hard to regain it.
Oh, that's the
So,
first time I've heard that.
yeah,
Okay.
and it seems to be, it's coming back. It's not where it was, but it helps. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, between ADT and everything else, yeah, and if you're doing away with a lot of the meat proteins, you can lose muscle mass.
Yep. Yep. Man, which I'm trying I'm trying to stop my muscle mass loss and trying to maybe even try and bring a little back. But without testosterone, you don't have those signals to build muscle mass,
Yeah, yeah,
which is frustrating.
it's challenging.
On Facebook, I had seen you share a post about the month of May and writing for cancer, like biking 300 miles. Is that something you're doing, or were you just
Actually,
sharing?
I'm not doing that right now. I really couldn't do something like that. Unrelated to everything else, I have arthritis in a hip that I have to get taken care of.
Oh, ouch.
But I'm not doing that. I am doing the zero. I'm not going to take part. I'm going to stay at the zero 5K run in Manhattan in September.
Oh,
Anyone
that's
in the New
awesome.
York area, come to that. Unrelated to zero, I'm doing something called Lights of Hope for the American Cancer Society in July as
Yeah,
a fundraiser.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is,
very cool.
it's really given me like an advocacy, a pulpit now. And I stepped, as you may have remembered from last August, I've stepped way out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, you were just kind of getting into this back then when we first met,
Yep.
testing the water, and yeah, that's fantastic that you've got a small group and
Yeah.
you're doing the mentoring. And so for the mentoring, when guys show up and they've just been diagnosed, what is the weirdest or most unexpected piece of advice that they get
Hmm.
that isn't something they should have been told? Am I making
Well,
sense?
something that they weren't told initially. You mean something?
Yeah, something they weren't told, or
Well,
yeah, what's something they weren't told that you share that you think, oh, they should have known this by now.
one thing I tell them, depending on where they are, what type of treatment they're getting, is I tell them if there's any doubt, anything you're uncomfortable about, get a second opinion. I actually
Yeah.
got 3 opinions before I decided on brachytherapy.
Okay.
First person said something radically different that didn't sit right. I said, that just doesn't sound right. Went to another doctor who agreed with me. Nope, that's not right. Brachytherapy and ADT. And at that point, I'm like, well, now I don't know what to do. So I went to a third doctor who agreed with the one who said brachytherapy and ADT. And
Okay.
the more I've learned, the more I found that that was absolutely the right way to go.
Yeah, not all doctors are the same. They don't all operate the same. They don't all operate on with the same information. Some of them are a little behind
Yeah.
current things.
Yeah. And
And
I'm sorry, I was just going to say the other thing I wish I had known going into it was the side effects of ADT, because
mm,
they kind of make light of it in the beginning and joke about menopause.
yeah, same.
And you go, I can handle that, but you don't know about the other stuff. I still would have made the same decision. I'm sure of it. I would have went for it because what was the alternative? But I would have been better prepared. That's actually the main reason I joined a zero group to start. Is like, I didn't know what was going on. I could wake up, the world is beautiful, everything's great. Half an hour later, I'm in this deep funk.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't know what's going on. I got to talk to somebody here.
Yep. I understand completely. Absolutely completely. So what made you, do you remember the moment that you decided to become a mentor? What tipped the scales to shift you from being a cancer survivor to a mentor?
I think it was after I was in a group for a while. And after a while, the great thing in a group is you do start, once you've been there for a while, new people come in and you're kind of talking, helping them.
Yep.
And so that's when I said, I can do that. I want to do more. I've gotten stuff out of it. I want to pay it back, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I got involved and just got deeper and deeper involved as I went along.
Hey, you're very active in a lot of things. It's fantastic to see some of the stuff you're doing.
Well, it's my fear was when I retired, and I'm still semi-retired. My fear was I was just going to sit and do nothing.
Oh yeah.
That is not the case at all.
Yeah, you were a busy man. And you're going to be coming out to Vegas in August?
Absolutely. I hope you are too.
After you had commented on that last video, I went and registered. So
great.
I've signed up. I'll be there.
Good. That'll be good. Well,
it'll be good to see you.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Now, my side of so the reason I attended last August in Atlanta was because I had the intent of starting a support group. I have completely failed at that. I was overly ambitious, and with work, I was going through some challenges at work and some changes, and everything between my main job and then I teach in the evenings as an adjunct professor, and then doing these videos and some other projects I got going on. It was just too much. So I haven't yet started a group, but I've got some more changes on the horizon that will free up some time for me, and I hope to get one started. So
it was, and I said I wanted an in-person.
Yeah.
I'm on Long Island, which has about 5 million people, I think. I can't believe I could not find an in-person group.
Wow.
Great. And I talked to Terry, who's the leads the groups for Zero.
Yeah.
And she said since COVID, the in-person just went away. But I said, the people who are in my group now all said the same thing. I want in-person. I don't want to do virtual. I said, well, this is perfect.
Yeah, I like that. Now, there are some really good virtual groups out there. One of the ones I've talked about before is the Reluctant Brotherhood. Have you ever checked them out?
That was actually where I started with Dave Diaz and Jet.
Dave Diaz, yep.
And they've grown tremendously now.
Oh,
they're like 5 nights a week, and they have huge numbers. Yeah.
They got so many specialized groups now, like for retired veterans and, a ton of groups that are, it's really, really, really good.
Yeah, definitely.
So Zero Cancer which is zerocancer.org, does a lot of advocacy and community work. What's something they're doing behind the scenes that you wish more people knew about?
Well, we were in D.C. in February.
Yeah.
And we made the rounds of our, congressional people. It was assigned by state, so everyone saw their own representatives and a few others. And we were in advocating like the Prostate Cancer Research Group, which I was nominated to be on their panel now.
That's awesome.
But I mean, we went in there. Their budget was 110 million. We asked, can you bring it to 120? It went down to 75, but we shouldn't complain because we thought it might be worse than that.
Yeah, there's a lot of cuts in a lot of areas that we wish they weren't cutting right now.
Because that's research. That's the drug I'm on now, the drug I was on before. Those were just a couple of years out of research. Where would we be without this research, you and I?
Yeah, exactly. Since I've been diagnosed, they've come out with approved 2 treatments. Immunotherapy is a strong treatment that people are using now, and Pluvicto, the lutetium-177, is a treatment that they're using, and that's come out because of the research just since I was diagnosed. When I got diagnosed, it was, you're going to do this hormone therapy and radiation, and if those don't work, we'll do chemo. And if that doesn't work, start getting stuff together. Yeah. And now it's, okay, I'm on ADT, I'm on I did the radiation. So once I become castration resistant, I can start immunotherapy. And if the immunotherapy doesn't work, I could try Pluvicto. And if Pluvicto doesn't work, then I have chemotherapy. And by the time I'm that far down the road, there's a new, so I'm putting information together for a new treatment that just entered phase 3 trials.
Yeah.
So I won't talk about it too much on here because I'm still learning about it. But there's, what is it called? It's called Protac. Protac, Protac. And they're using, it's going to be if they authorize it for use, it's going to be a fantastic game-changing treatment where right now you have options. Radiation radiates the cancer cells, radiates the tumor, and hopefully the cancer cells die, right? Yeah. And it harms healthy tissue too, but we hope that we're, young enough and healthy enough that the healthy tissue rebuilds. Chemotherapy poisons the whole body, and hopefully it poisons the cancer as well, right?
Yeah.
And then ADT, that is attacking the proteins. Well, it doesn't attack the proteins. The proteins that feed the cancer are ARs, androgen receptors. And those ARs, the whole idea with hormone therapy is we block access to the fuel. And so we starve the cancer. Well, this new treatment finds and attaches to those androgen receptors, but then signals for a cleanup cell to come in and destroy the cancer cell. Mm-hmm. Which is completely, that's a game-changing treatment.
Yeah.
So hopefully within the next few years we see that. It's amazing, but with that, the whole point of that was it relies on funding for the research.
Yep.
Now, fortunately, that one has gotten past the need for government money, and now private companies. Once private companies start investing hundreds of millions of dollars into a treatment, it's more likely to become, get to where it's being used to treat people. It's more likely to get approval for FDA funding, or FDA approved by the FDA for use. And that's where this Protac treatment is at. It's in phase 3 trials. They've got hundreds of millions of dollars invested by private companies now. So that research cut, if they had cut that funding 3 years ago, this might never have gotten to where it's at. And that's frustrating.
Yeah. No. And what about the things that would be coming along after that if there's no pipeline?
Yep.
But I mean, I saw first time around, actually going on 9 years now when I first was diagnosed. And the difference from the first time I was treated till now, it's just tremendous.
Yeah.
There's been so many advances.
It's amazing. It is amazing. And it's going to be, and even in the rest of our lifetime, it's going to be a whole different, men that are getting diagnosed 5 years from now are going to be hearing way different words than we heard. Like, you were diagnosed 9 years ago. You were in that pre-2019 where you might have been told 3 to 5 years, depending on the situation. If it was metastasized, they would say you have the 5 years has a 30% survival rate.
And when the doctor says, we'll get through this together, that's kind of not a good feeling.
No. All right. So you've supported, I like this question. You have supported men through your mentoring and now through your group. And when we're going through this, we have some really dark days. And your job as a mentor is to help them through that. Yeah. What do you do when it gets heavy for you?
In my case, when it gets heavy for me, there was a while ago, the fatigue was getting to me. Everything was getting to me. It was a dreary day, and I had to get up. I was actually volunteering at a preserve that day. It's like, oh man, I don't want to go today. It's not nice weather. I feel crappy. I'm down. And I stood next to my bed and I said, I just want to go back to bed. I'm going to go back to bed.
Yep.
And then I stop it. And I'm a hypocrite if I do that, because I'm telling other people that's when you have to get up and do something. Don't give in. Even if it's to walk around the block, do something. And I stood there and said, how can I not do something when I'm telling them? I'd be a hypocrite.
Yep.
So I went
So you
out.
follow your own advice.
I did, and I remember driving home thinking, God, I feel so much better. I should listen to me.
I should listen to me. I love that. Yeah. And we talk on this channel about exercise and diet, and I find myself having some of those moments where, we were doing payday pizza, and I get paid every 2 weeks. That's pizza every 2 weeks, and that's a lot of dairy, which I try and avoid, but except for payday pizza.
That's every once in a while pizza. Well, even the nutritionists told me that. Look, once in a while is not going to kill you.
Yep.
But instead of where I might have had 3 slices before, I had 1 today.
Okay.
And I don't know when I'll have the next one. And, just everything in moderation.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Now, you are still doing ADT, but after the brachytherapy, what's one thing nobody prepared you for after the brachytherapy?
Actually, what they didn't really get into is they, again, lightly touched on was the urgency. Right after brachytherapy, for a couple of weeks, you're black and blue. There's a little pain, a little bit of blood, but that's normal.
Yep.
But then it goes away and life goes on normally, although I am on Flomax. But life went on as normal. It's like, oh, okay, so that wasn't bad. But 13, 14 months after brachytherapy, it's not uncommon for that urgency to come back.
Oh.
And it came back in a big way for me. I've said I would run through an NFL defensive line to get to a bathroom sometimes. It's like when I got to go, I have to go. Get out of my way.
Yeah, holy smokes.
Not that it was more frequent, but once I thought to myself, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. That's it. I got to go. Don't interrupt. I just got to go.
You don't have like a 30-second countdown. It's like 5, 4.
And I do not want to delay. I'll just leave it at that.
Yep, fair enough.
So what the doctor actually just recently did is double my dosage of Flomax.
Oh, okay.
Didn't know you could do it, but he says, take 2 instead of 1. I said, oh, 1 morning, 1 night. He goes, no, take them both at nighttime.
Okay.
The reasoning is that it might make you lightheaded, so you go into sleep, that's fine.
Oh.
Made sense.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense.
Pelvic floor exercises and scheduling your bathroom breaks. Sitting there, if I'm like, it's been an hour since I went. I don't have to go, but I'm going to go now.
Yeah, okay.
Little inconvenient, but it beats the mad dash.
Yeah. Yep, which is tough when you're in public. Speaking of in public and brachytherapy, you had a little incident at an airport.
Actually, more than one, just about every time now. Yeah. And the doctor, radiation oncologist, and I love my radiation oncologist. She's the best. But about a month after I was getting the treatment, I said, well, I'm going to be going down. I'm going to be flying somewhere. She says, well, they might pick up the radiation at the airport. So they give you this little card explaining what you have. Yep. I got my get out of jail free card. And sure enough, I set things off. They looked at me suspiciously, showed them the card. I still got a very thorough frisk, but they let me go. But I am setting off. I don't know if it's cost of pellets or what, but I've set off the detector like every time I've traveled since then.
Oh, well, it's probably I wonder what the metal is.
I don't know. Oh, I sent you I think I showed you that picture.
Yeah.
You can see it. But, I don't know if it's that or just a coincidence, but I'd say it's been like 5 or 6 times now I've set off the detectors. I show them the card. They go, and then I still get believe me, thorough search.
Not something you necessarily want.
No.
If you could tattoo a single word or phrase on every prostate cancer patient's soul, what would it be?
Oh, it's funny you should say that because I have it on my wrist. It says warrior.
Oh, right on.
So yeah, and I was never a tattoo person, but there it is. That was a celebration at one after the brachytherapy. I got that tattooed on just
Did
to
you?
remind me to fight. Not only for that, other things I saw my wife through her chemotherapy, other
Yeah.
things. Like you got to keep fighting. So I said,
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about that at all as part of this.
I'm fine with it if you
Yeah.
want. Yeah.
Because you've been dealing with cancer for a while now, not just yours.
Right. It started with my first round, and then it went to my wife. For quite a while, they didn't know what was going on. Finally, she was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Unfortunately, she was diagnosed late in the game. So she spent months in a hospital. She came home. I was her caregiver at home. Luckily, I was able to work from home. And that's actually what keeps a lot of this in perspective for me. People say something like, oh, ADT is terrible. I'd never do it. And I understand everybody's different and everybody
Yep.
reacts differently. But I think to myself, well, I saw what my wife went through with chemo. This isn't as bad as that. She handled it with a lot of grace. I can do the same thing.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm out of questions. Is there anything you had queued up that you wanted to talk about?
Let's see, Guy, if you wanted to jump back to brachytherapy, like I said, it was not a terrible procedure. It was outpatient, rather, excuse me. I was out the same day by afternoon, rested up. They do tell you for a week, take it easy, which was a nice experience for me. I sat in a chair, I looked at the snow falling, and I thought, why don't I do this more often? So I
Very
made an
nice.
effort to do that. But just with the procedure, just to fill it out more, about 3 weeks after you get it, you go back for an MRI to make sure the pellets are where they should be, that nothing's moved. They also take, I thought it was interesting, a chest x-ray, because they said somehow some of the pellets can travel to your lungs. So,
Really?
yeah. And they said,
how is that even, like, I don't not even understand the path.
I don't know. And luckily it didn't happen for me. I didn't really get any detail on it, but
Wow.
they said, well, it's not terrible, nothing you can do about it anyway, but you should know they're there for future x-rays.
Okay.
But as I said, my lungs were clear, so that was good. And so other than, like I said, the first week is a little tricky, and then maybe a year or so out, it may be an issue with urgency.
Yeah. But there was no issue with doing brachytherapy following, because you had the EBRT at first, the
Right.
external beam radiation,
Yeah.
and there wasn't any issue with going from the EBRT to the brachytherapy.
No, that was actually, brachy was my only option for radiation after external beam.
Okay.
I said one doctor did mention the first one I went to that I didn't stick with, did mention the possibility. He said maybe 28 fractions more external. And when I went to the oncologist that I settled on, that I do love, and she just said that would do way more harm than good if you did that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It would damage the kidneys. It would not kidneys, your bladder. It would damage
Your bowels.
rectum. Yeah,
Yep.
was like, yeah, we don't want to do that. If I
Okay.
can avoid that, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, because with the external beam radiation, we suffer from the damage that it causes to the healthy tissue for years. The bowels, rectum, the bladder, and that's a lot to rebuild from.
Everything takes its toll. Both
Yep.
the external, the brachytherapy, ADT. Yeah, everything does have a price.
Yeah, that's sad. Sadly.
I look at it that, okay, for me, everything I've done is worth the price. Because what was the alternative?
Yeah. And I did an interview with a guy, Clark Bartram, who chose, he's adamant. He says, I'm going to do anything except hormone therapy. And man, he flew to Germany to get the Pluvicto because in the U.S. you can't get it until after you've tried all these other things. And so he flew to Germany, paid out of pocket, and got the Pluvicto. And I haven't heard from him on how well that's doing. So hopefully he had some success.
Yeah, you hear of people trying all sorts of different things, especially if you're on the different forums.
Yeah.
You know, trying all sorts of different drugs, or there's people out there who'll tell you drink a gallon of carrot juice every day and you'll be cured.
Right. If the cure was that easy.
Oh, I'd be drinking 2 gallons of carrot juice a day.
It's not that easy.
It does have, a little carrot juice is good. You know, as part, you know, what I look at, the stuff I do nutritionally, that's another supplement to the conventional medical treatment.
Yeah.
They work together.
It's complementary.
Yes, I wouldn't exclude one or the other. I'm going to do them both.
Yep. I do. I get carrot juice. I drink a can of V8 juice every day.
Me too. Yeah.
And I do that because of lycopene. I found some good studies about lycopene that cooked tomatoes.
Yeah, and they say cooked is better than I love raw, a regular tomato, but cooked is better.
Yep. Somehow that releases extra lycopene.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. It's
So,
amazing the things we learn. We've become, I don't want to say experts, but we've learned so much.
Yeah, I know way more about things that I never wanted to know about.
Yeah, well, I always say, welcome to the club you don't want to be in.
Yep, the reluctant club, the reluctant brotherhood.
Yeah, and here we are.
Yep. So what's your last message for anybody that's just finding out or going through prostate cancer? What's the one thing you want to tell them?
I'd even expand that a little. I would say to men, especially over 40, get your PSA checked. I'll say it 1,000 times. Early detection saves lives.
Yep.
Get checked. Listen to what the doctors say. If it doesn't sit right, get another opinion. Very important. Take a deep breath. Step back, take a deep breath. Consider all your alternatives. Chances are, and probably in most cases, you don't have to rush. You have a little time to think about it.
Yep.
Because no matter which way you choose, understand it's going to impact your life. It's going to impact the quality of your life.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. I appreciate that. I appreciate seeing you again. I appreciate having you on the channel.
Oh,
we should have done this earlier.
I'm glad that you invited me. It was great to see you and get this chance to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to sign off here. I thank everybody for watching, and I love you all.
Thank you.